I read your comments under the videos, and I often see that many people don't know how to fly with layovers and keep making the same mistakes. Because of these mistakes, they end up missing their connections, can lose their luggage at the transit airport, lose money, or even not fly anywhere at all. Today, I'm going to tell you about 8 mistakes travelers make when flying with layovers. This concerns every traveler. The first mistake is not using connecting flights. Connecting flights, flights with layovers, and transit flights are all the same thing. For some reason, many people think this is a bad thing and believe you should either take a direct flight or not fly at all. Often, we simply have to use connecting flights because there are no other options. For example, I recently found out that there are no direct flights from Barcelona to Antalya. Well, Spaniards just don't travel en masse to Turkish resorts. But even if there is a direct flight, a connecting one is often cheaper. This rule doesn't always apply, but try experimenting with aggregators yourself, and you'll see that most of the time it's true. Sometimes it can be useful to split a long flight into 2 shorter ones. For example, instead of spending 12 hours in a confined space, which many people find uncomfortable, you can break it up into 2 shorter 6-hour flights. Take a break during the layover, stretch your legs, do something different, walk around the airport, have a cup of coffee, and then, after an hour, 2 or 3, board your next flight. Not to mention that layovers often give you the chance to see and discover more cities and countries. I'll talk about this in more detail later in the video. In general, connecting flights are a good thing. The main thing is to know how to use them properly. For long distances, I almost always fly with layovers. If it's a short flight, for example, Barcelona to Madrid, Barcelona to Paris, or Barcelona to Lisbon, then of course it's easier to just take a direct flight for an hour or an hour and a half, rather than choosing a layover somewhere random. The second mistake is choosing the cheapest connecting flights. If you go to any aggregator and enter a route from point A to point B, unless, of course, these are neighboring cities, most often, the cheapest options will be those with an incredible number of layovers. Well, those are bad options. First of all, the more layovers you have, the higher the risk that you'll miss or be late for one of the flight segments, which could ruin your entire travel itinerary. You could lose all your tickets. And secondly, it takes a lot of time. So instead of flying, say, 5 or 6 hours, you could end up traveling for 2 or even 3 days. And during all that time, you'll need somewhere to sleep, something to eat, and something to drink. In foreign countries, in unfamiliar cities, in strange airports. And often, the money you save on a cheaper ticket is more than offset by the extra expenses you incur along the way. The third mistake is not paying attention to how many airlines are involved in your tickets. In fact, this is one of the most important questions you need to get an answer to when buying connecting tickets. If you're flying with one airline, on a single ticket, with one booking code, and something happens, like you miss your connection, then it becomes the airline's problem to solve. They are required to feed you, provide you with drinks, put you up in a hotel at their own expense, buy you a ticket for the next flight, and compensate you for any other expenses. In this case, you don't pay anything. Additionally, if it's a single ticket, your luggage usually travels with you all the way to your final destination. And also, if something happens, like a flight cancellation or the cancellation of one of the segments, that's the airline's headache and problem, not yours. An example of such a flight is Moscow, Istanbul, Madrid. Both segments are operated by Turkish Airlines. The same rule applies if the airlines are different but have a partnership, meaning they are part of the same airline alliance or are code share partners. How can you find this out? If you can buy a ticket for all segments on the website of one airline, then everything is fine. That airline will be responsible for any issues that arise during the course of your journey. If that's not possible, and you can only buy such a ticket either from different airlines or only through an aggregator, then these are different airlines and they are not responsible for all these issues. If you want to buy through an aggregator and you're not sure whether it's the same airline, partner airlines, or completely different ones, go to the website of the first airline. If you can buy the same ticket on their website, then everything is fine. That means they are partner airlines or even the same airline. But if such a ticket is not available on that airline's website, then these are different airlines with all the associated problems. You can't tell just by the appearance of the tickets. What you need is a single booking code for this ticket, but aggregators often provide their own code instead of the airline's booking code, and that's where the problem lies. So here, well, either you know that these airlines are partners, they're part of the same airline alliance, and everything is fine, or you really need to go to the airline's website and check there. If you are flying with different airlines that are not part of the same alliance and are not partners, then you will have to handle any issues that arise during the trip on your own. For example, if you still want to fly from Moscow to Madrid via Istanbul, but you bought a Moscow-Istanbul ticket from Aeroflot and an Istanbul-Madrid ticket from Turkish Airlines, and you didn't make it. The Aeroflot flight was delayed. You arrived in Istanbul too late, and the flight to Madrid had already departed. In this case, you cannot make any claims against Aeroflot to compensate you for any losses from missing your flight. It was your responsibility to buy the tickets in such a way that you would make it to your connecting flight. And you can't have any complaints against the Turkish side either, because they waited for you. The flight departed on time. You simply didn't show up for it. As a result, you just lost your tickets and didn't go anywhere. You were left stranded in Istanbul, having to buy a new ticket at your own expense. Additionally, in this case, you'll also have to collect your baggage in Istanbul and then check it in again for your next flight. So you'll also spend extra time on that. Moreover, you can only collect your baggage after passing through border control. You arrive in Istanbul, collect your baggage, check it in for your Turkish Airlines flight, go through security again, pass through border control, and only then can you continue your journey. It's extremely inconvenient. Does this mean you can't buy connecting flights with different airlines? No, it doesn't mean that at all. You can absolutely do that, especially if it's cheaper or more convenient for you. But always remember that you need to allow enough time for your layover. And if anything goes wrong, you'll have to solve the problems yourself. The fourth mistake, not paying attention to airport changes. In many large cities, there isn't just one airport, but 2, 3, or even more. For example, Moscow, Istanbul, or even London. And sometimes, when you buy tickets from an aggregator, for instance, you might not notice that your flight is through Istanbul, but you arrive at one airport and your next flight departs from a different airport. And in Istanbul, for example, the distance between airports is more than 80 kilometers. That means you have to travel a long, expensive, and time-consuming way between these two airports. Is it possible to book such connections? Yes, you can, if the price is really attractive or you have no other options. But keep in mind that, in addition to the ticket price, you need to factor in the cost of transferring from one airport to another. And when considering your layover time, you need to account for the time it takes to make this transfer. And be sure to check whether you have the right to leave the airport and travel from one airport to another. Does your passport allow you to do this? Do you have all the necessary documents, visas, and so on? Fifth mistake, not paying attention to visas during layovers. In many countries, even if you are just transiting through and not leaving the airport, you will still need a visa, a transit visa, or any other type that allows you to enter that country. As a rule, getting a transit visa is no easier than getting a regular tourist visa. So honestly, it's not even worth bothering with. Just avoid flying through countries where such a visa is required. You can buy tickets, and you will be sold tickets with a layover in these countries. But when you try to board at your initial departure point, you won't be allowed on the plane because you won't have the required transit visa, tourist visa, or any other necessary visa, and the airline will deny you boarding, even if you have purchased tickets. Another point, even if there is a transit zone at the layover airport, and the rules of that country allow transit passengers to travel without a visa, make sure you are flying with the same airline and that you won't have to collect your luggage and check it in again in that country. Because to collect your luggage, you would need to go through border control and retrieve it on the territory of the country where you have landed. And if you don't have a visa, you simply won't be able to do this. As a result, your luggage will end up spinning alone on the baggage claim belt, while you continue your journey without it. For example, let's say you're planning to fly from Istanbul to Morocco via Rome. You can do this even without a Schengen visa. If it's the same airline, for example, an Italian airline that operates both the Istanbul, Rome and Rome, Casablanca flights, then everything is fine. You don't leave the transit zone, you don't cross the border, and you simply continue your journey. But if these are different airlines, for example, you arrive in Rome with a Turkish airline, and then want to fly from Rome to Morocco with a Moroccan airline, then in Rome you will have to collect the luggage that the Turkish airline brought for you. To collect it, you will need to cross the border. But you won't be able to cross the border because you don't have a visa. Mistake number 6, not checking where your luggage is going. As a rule, you check in your luggage at your departure point and pick it up at your final destination. But there are many exceptions to this rule. The first exception, as I already mentioned, is if you are flying with different airlines on separate tickets. You will need to collect your luggage during your layover and check it in again for your next flight. Secondly, even if you are flying with the same airline, but one segment of your journey is international and the other is domestic, you are often asked to collect your luggage during the layover as well. For example, when I flew from Delhi to St. Petersburg via Moscow with Aeroflot. I had to collect my luggage in Moscow and check it in again with the same Aeroflot for the domestic flight to St. Petersburg. The third exception. If you have a long layover, the airline may not want to store your luggage and will give it to you during the layover. How many hours your luggage is stored during a layover depends on the specific airline's rules. I've seen maximums of 8 hours, 12 hours, and even 24 hours. Be sure to check this when you drop off your luggage at the check-in counter. So, for example, if you decide to have a 30-hour layover in Istanbul and spend a day exploring the city, you'll need to collect your luggage upon arrival in Istanbul and check it in again 30 hours later when your next flight departs. And if you don't do this, your suitcase will be left spinning alone on the baggage claim carousel. But how do you know where you'll collect your luggage? First, you can ask the staff member at the check-in counter who is accepting your luggage. Clarify this with them. Will your luggage go all the way to your final destination, or will you need to pick it up at one of the layover points? And second, always double-check the baggage tag that the staff member gives you. It will say exactly which airport you need to collect your luggage at. And yes, if you wish, you can request to have your luggage returned to you during a layover instead of at your final destination. For example, if you have something in your luggage that you'll need during the layover. The seventh mistake is miscalculating the time needed for a layover. One of the biggest fears travelers have is missing their connecting flight. That's why especially anxious people tend to allow extra time, 4 hours, 5 hours, even 6 hours. But sitting in a transit airport for 5 or 6 hours is hardly enjoyable. It's only good if you've watched my video about airport secrets and know how to keep yourself entertained. By the way, in that video I share as many as 25 airport life hacks, including tips on how to save money. I'll leave a link to the video in the description. In reality, if you're flying on a single ticket with one booking code, with one airline or their partners, you have nothing to worry about. If the airline sold you a ticket with a layover, for example, of 1 hour, it means they are confident that you'll be able to make your connection within that time. Because if not, they themselves will have to deal with the problems caused by your missed flight. In fact, I've flown quite often with layovers, like 50 minutes in Istanbul or 45 minutes in Belgrade. And every time I made it to my next flight, even if the first flight was delayed, the airline would specifically wait for us and hold the second flight, and then rush us through all sorts of secret corridors so that we could make the connection. It's a different story when you arrange the connections yourself or buy tickets from different airlines through an aggregator. In this case, I recommend allowing at least 3 hours for your layover. And if it's a large airport or, God forbid, you have to change airports, then you should allow even more time. And remember, you'll need time to collect your luggage, check it in again, and go through all the controls once more. The eighth mistake is not taking advantage of stopovers. What is a stopover? It's an extended layover, usually more than 24 hours. And stopovers are a traveler's best friend. Why? First, you can often buy such a ticket for significantly less. Second, you get the chance to see a new city or even a new country. You can also simply rest between long flights, sleep in the hotel bed instead of squeezing into an airport chair somewhere, which is really worth it. Your body will thank you for it. And finally, some airlines, if you buy tickets with long layovers from them, offer additional free perks. For example, a city tour or a free night at a hotel. So, it's all advantages. Cheaper tickets, a chance to see a new city, relax, and even get a free night's sleep in a hotel. Take advantage of it. The stopovers I liked the most were in Istanbul and, of course, Dubai. I also stopped in Doha, Hong Kong, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, and Shanghai. I think that's all. Let me know if you've had long layovers and which places you enjoyed the most.